My name is Gloria Lewis, and I'm 36 years old. I'm the mother of a girl who still believes magic happens when you whisper to candles before you blow them out. Today, the candles belong to Emma, 9 tiny lights wobbling over a vanilla cake that's already smudged, where little fingers poke to check the frosting. By noon, the backyard looks like a confetti factory. Forgot its purpose and exploded. Pink streamers tangle in the lemon tree. 2 folding tables strain under pizza boxes and juice pouches. I can't hear myself think over the synchronized squeals of 9-year-olds chasing a bubble machine that refuses to quit. Ethan, my ex-husband, catches my eye across the deck. We've been divorced 3 years, but the co-parenting truce holds. I can read his look at 20 paces. Your mom's text last night? We'll set things right tomorrow? I nod, small. He nods back, smaller. We both understand. A storm front is hovering beyond the fence. Jason, my boyfriend, shows up with ice at 1:45, wearing the nervous smile of a man who wants to blend into the decor and be useful, not a headline. He stacks cans, tosses me a quiet, "You okay?" And I almost say yes. Instead I say, "Ask me at 3." My mother arrives at 2 o'clock exactly. Punctuality has always been her way of respecting or dominating a room. She breezes in carrying a gift wrapped like an armadillo. Lots of tape, no logic. Her energy is carbonated, effervescent to the point of unstable. She beelines to Emma. "There's my princess," she declares, pulling my daughter into a hug, like she's reclaiming a lost heirloom. Emma laughs, then winces. The hug is too tight. When Mom finally releases her, she scans the yard like a director arriving on set, deciding where to place her monologue. Ethan drifts to my side. "We staying calm?" he murmurs. "We are a lighthouse," I say, my practiced mantra. "Shine steady." For 20 minutes, a miracle. Mom is helpful. She hands out napkins. She compliments another parent's shoes. She wipes a spill without commentary. My shoulders drop an inch. Maybe last night's text was just a bluff. Maybe. She claps, loud. The kind of clap adults use when they want children to stop experiencing joy and pivot to adult programming. The backyard hushes with suspicious speed. Even the bubble machine takes a breath. "Everyone," my mother announces, voice bright and sharp enough to cut fondant. "I have an announcement." Ethan's mouth compresses. Jason freezes mid-reach with a stack of paper plates. I feel a cable tighten in my chest. "This is a family matter," Mom continues, turning toward me like I'm a misbehaving employee. "And I believe in honesty, even hard honesty." The phrase lands like a warning label. A parent glances at me. I smile the brittle, situational smile mothers learn when disaster approaches and the cupcakes are already paid for. "Your Aunt Lisa," Mom says to Emma, but projects for everyone, "has had some financial difficulties. She's made mistakes, but she is family, and family helps family. So I've decided," she inhales, satisfied with the drama, "that we will use Emma's college savings to get Lisa out of debt. It's the right thing to do." Time does what it does in car accidents and under anesthesia. It stretches, ripples, then refuses to move. A child whispers, "What's college?" Another one asks, "Is the cake still happening?" Ethan's hand finds my forearm. Warning, comfort, anchor. My throat is both desert and flood. I take a breath that tastes like frosting and brass. I set down my drink. "Which account?" I ask, level as a plumb line. "Are you planning to raid?" My mother blinks. Confidence flickers. "The college account," she says, as if I'm the one who's confused. "The one we set up when Emma was born." "Right," I say. "The account I closed last month when I transferred all funds into Emma's trust at the brokerage, titled to me as custodian, not you. The one with the lock you don't have a key to." The crack is audible, even over silence. My mother's smile freezes, then fractures. She pulls out her phone. I watch her tap into her banking app, watch her scroll for a number she's memorized like a prayer. Her eyes dart, sharpen, widen. She looks up at me with the affronted shock of someone discovering gravity applies to them, too. "What did you do?" she demands, volume rising. "My job," I say. Being Emma's mother includes protecting her future from anyone who thinks they're entitled to spend it. "That's her education," she snaps. "That's her future. That's my daughter," I say, tone still even. and the decisions are mine. She steps closer. The scent of her perfume, gardenia and ultimatum, presses into me. You are being selfish, she says, louder now. Heads turn. Your sister is drowning and you are hoarding. Emma's face goes paper white. A parent clears a throat. Another studiously checks a phone. The bubble machine coughs itself back on, releasing a single apologetic bubble. We can talk about this later, I say, gesturing to the yard full of 9-year-olds who do not need a live demonstration of generational dysfunction. I came to celebrate my granddaughter, Mom says, and to be honest with this family. Honesty isn't wrong. You came expecting I'd submit, I reply, voice soft, the edge pressed deep enough to cut. That expectation is the problem. Her mouth opens and closes, a goldfish negotiating air. Finally, she lands on a smaller weapon. You're making a scene. No, I say. You made a scene. I'm cleaning up. Ethan steps in with the extinguisher voice we practiced in therapy. Okay, he says to the adults nearby. Cake in 5. Kids, who wants to help light candles? The yard exhales. Motion resumes. My mother's eyes burn. You can't just unilaterally... I already did. You should have talked to me, she hisses. Why? I ask. So you could talk me out of protecting my child. That money is family money. It's Emma's. She didn't make Lisa's choices. Lisa made one mistake. Lisa made many, and she can make a plan. What Emma cannot make is tuition out of thin air in 9 years because her grandmother used her fund as a life raft. For a heartbeat, something like hurt cracks through her fury. Then it's gone. She turns, sweeping toward the gate, already dialing. She doesn't say goodbye to Emma. Ethan blows out a breath. Jason hands me a bottle of water like a medic who's learned the triage sequence. Hydrate, ground, then talk. We light candles. Emma stares at me while everyone sings. I try to beam enough calm to wrap her like a blanket. When she closes her eyes to wish, her lashes tremble. After the cheer, she leans into my side. Is Grandma mad at me? She whispers. No, I say, and it's true in a technical sense. Grandma's mad at me because I said no. Emma thinks about this, mouth tugging right. Sometimes no is how you say yes to the right thing, she says, pilfering a line I've told her about bedtimes. Exactly, I say, and kiss the crown of her head. By dusk, the yard is a battlefield of paper plates and stomped balloons. The girls leave in waves, sugar-drunk and yawning. I wipe tables while Ethan bags trash and Jason corrals folding chairs. The house is quiet by 7. Too quiet. On the porch, Jason and I trade beer for tea. Ethan sits on the step, rubbing at a stain of red frosting on his shirt. You moved the account a month ago, he says. You saw her coming. She's been circling for 6, I answer. Little comments, family sacrifices. What's one semester when your sister is drowning? She wanted me to normalize the idea before she tried to make it a fact. Jason touches my knee. You did right. My phone buzzes on the table. Mom. Then again, and again. I flip it face down. It buzzes anyway. The wood rattles. Ethan stands. I'm going to head out, he says. Text me if you need me. Thanks, I say, and mean it. He nods to Jason in that uneasy, gentlemanly way men have when they're both on your team, but in different positions. He leaves. I turn the phone over. The messages stack like a drumbeat. We need to talk about this. You can't just decide family finances on your own. Lisa is suffering. How can you be so cruel? Emma needs to learn family takes care of each other. I'm calling your father. You're being unreasonable. Jason watches my face and doesn't ask to read. He just says, Lighthouse. Lighthouse, I echo, though my hands are trembling in that way where your body tells the truth even when your mouth has plans. The messages keep coming. Somewhere in them, I know, will be the line she crosses to make this a war. But I also know something else, something solid enough to stand on. I lock the gate. Emma's future is not collateral. Not this time, not ever again. Inside, Emma pads out in her socks. Mom, she says, if Grandma wants my money for Aunt Lisa, can I say no too? My throat tightens. You don't have to, I tell her. I already did. She nods, satisfied in the simple cause and effect of it. Okay, then can we read 2 chapters tonight since I turned 9? Deal, I say. She disappears, and I sit very still, listening to the house settle, to my phone buzz, to the knowledge that the next move will be louder. The storm is here. I light a lamp, steady and bright. Lighthouse, I whisper, and go tuck my daughter in. By morning, the group chat had become a battlefield, dressed in polite emojis. Aunt Janet, your mom's heart was in the right place, Gloria. Uncle Ron, maybe next time, handle family issues privately. Cousin Laura, it must have been embarrassing for her, sweetie. She was just trying to help. Each message felt like a drip of gasoline on something still smoldering. No one was asking why my mother thought she could announce a financial decision about my daughter's future in public. They were all debating how loudly I should have disagreed. Jason read over my shoulder while making coffee. They're missing the point, he said. They always do, I murmured. In this family, embarrassment is a greater sin than betrayal. He passed me my mug. You sure you don't want to respond? I already did, I said, tapping my silence on the phone. That's my response. By noon, my phone buzzed again. Dad this time. Your mother says you humiliated her in front of guests. She says you're being cruel. I didn't text back. Instead, I called him. He answered on the second ring, his voice low, careful, the way people sound when they're sitting next to a grenade. Morning, kiddo. Hey, Dad, you've heard Mom's version? He sighed. I have. I wanted to hear yours before deciding how deep to dig my grave. I told him everything. What she said, what I said, the account I'd closed. I didn't exaggerate or downplay, just laid it out. When I finished, there was a long pause. Then he said, Good. Good? I repeated, surprised. You did the right thing. Your mother means well, but she's never learned the difference between helping and controlling. Protecting Emma was your job, not hers. His quiet support felt like a life raft I hadn't realized I'd needed. Thanks, Dad. Don't thank me, he said. Just don't doubt yourself. She'll come after you again. You know that, right? I do. Then brace for round 2. Round 2 arrived that evening. Mom's text had evolved from guilt to strategy. Lisa's crying. She can't sleep. You've turned the whole family against each other. Maybe if you hadn't married that tech man who thinks money solves everything, you'd understand compassion. Jason leaned over my shoulder. That last one's about me, right? Congratulations, I said dryly. You've been officially inducted. He smiled, but his eyes were heavy with worry. You're handling this like a soldier. I'm handling it like a woman who's been ambushed by her own mother enough times to write a field manual. He reached for my hand. You can block her. I can, I said. But then she'll call Ethan, or worse, Emma's school. Jason frowned. She wouldn't. She once called my college roommate to ask if I was lonely. Point taken. That night, Ethan called. Hey, I just got a long voicemail from your mom. Something about family duty and Emma learning generosity? I groaned. Of course she called you. She ended it with, I know you understand real parenting. Did you call her back? No, Ethan said. I deleted it. Thank you. I get why you're angry, he said quietly. But she's still your mom. That's exactly the problem, I whispered. He hesitated. If you ever want me to talk to her... No, I interrupted. This is between her and me. She needs to learn I don't need a translator. Okay, he said. But for what it's worth, you did right by Emma. That matters more than family drama. Thanks, Ethan. When we hung up, I sat in the dark living room, watching the glow from Emma's nightlight spill into the hall. My mother had always known how to turn guilt into choreography, spinning relatives into dancers around her spotlight. Not this time. By day 3, the whispers had gone public. I opened Facebook to find a post from my cousin. Sometimes doing the right thing doesn't mean doing the kind thing. Family is everything. The comment section was filled with coded sympathy for my mother. I scrolled through it with detached calm, like watching strangers argue about a movie I'd already seen. Jason found me later folding laundry that didn't need folding. You're quiet, he said. She's telling her version of the story, I said, and everyone's listening. He leaned against the counter. So tell yours. I shook my head. She thrives on defense. I'm not giving her a sparring partner. He studied me. That's not silence, Gloria. That's strategy. Exactly. That night, while Emma slept, I printed out the trust papers and tucked them in a fireproof folder. On top of it, I wrote in pen, Emma's college fund, do not touch. It wasn't about paranoia, it was about peace. When Jason saw the label, he raised an eyebrow. You're sending a message. Not to her, I said, to myself, that no matter what happens next, the money's safe and so is Emma. He smiled faintly. You think she's done? She's only quiet when she's planning. The next morning, my prediction arrived in text form. We're having a family meeting, Sunday at 2. Come to the house. No excuses. I stared at the screen, heart steady, coffee cooling in my hand. Jason looked over, and that's round 3. Yeah, I said, the tribunal. He reached out, brushing his thumb over my knuckles. You going to walk into the lion's den? I'm going to walk in with receipts. Metaphorical or literal? Both. He grinned. Now that's the Gloria I fell for. I smiled faintly. You fell for a woman who labels fireproof folders. And I'd do it again. Sunday was 4 days away. That meant 4 days of silence before the next storm. I checked on Emma before bed. She was sprawled sideways, one hand hanging off the mattress, hair tangled in her pillow. Beside her lay the book we'd been reading, Matilda, about a little girl who outsmarts the adults trying to control her. I smiled, foreshadowing perhaps. I kissed her forehead and whispered, "You're safe, baby, I promise." Then I turned off the light, sat on the edge of my bed, and drafted the mental script for the confrontation I knew was coming. Because if my mother wanted a meeting, she was going to get one, just not the version she expected. Sunday came wrapped in that specific kind of tension that makes even sunlight feel intrusive. I parked in front of my parents' house at 1:58, exactly on time. Not early enough to look eager, not late enough to be accused of disrespect. Jason had offered to drive me, but I told him no. This was a solo mission, the kind where you walk into the enemy camp smiling because you've already drawn the map home. When I stepped inside, the smell of lemon polish hit first, a false cleanliness that always meant presentation. My mother sat in her favorite armchair, posture flawless, lips painted the shade of a threat. My father occupied his usual neutral ground on the couch, a newspaper he wasn't reading folded beside him. "Gloria," Mom said, not rising. Her voice was calm, brittle porcelain. "I appreciate you coming. I thought perhaps we could have an adult conversation about what happened at the party." "Sure," I said, setting my purse down. "Let's do that." Dad gave me a fleeting look. Sympathy, apology, warning. A man who'd lived through this scene enough times to know the script, but powerless to rewrite it. Mom folded her hands. "I want to understand what I did that was so terrible you felt the need to humiliate me in front of everyone." "That's an easy one," I said quietly. "You announced you were going to use my daughter's college savings without asking me, in public, during her birthday." "I was trying to help Lisa," she said, tone sharpening. "I was trying to be a good mother and a good sister. Family helps family. That's what we do." "But you did it by making a financial decision about my daughter's money," I said, "without asking, without permission. You made it sound like it was already done." "I knew you'd say no," she said simply. There it was, the confession, the truth beneath the performance. "Right," I said. "You knew I'd say no because it was wrong. So you tried to make it a fait accompli. Do it first, shame me later." My mother's chin lifted. "You've become so cold, Gloria. You used to care about this family." "I do care," I said. "I just don't confuse caring with compliance." Her lips pressed into a line. "Lisa is drowning in debt, and you're sitting on thousands of dollars that could change her life." "Thousands of dollars that belong to a 9-year-old, I corrected. "Money that's not mine to give away, and certainly not yours." "She's your sister." "And Emma is my child," I said, voice firm but steady. "My loyalty starts there." Dad cleared his throat softly. "Honey, maybe we could—" "No, Harold," Mom cut in. "She needs to hear this. She's forgotten what family means." "I haven't," I said. "I just have a different definition. Family means love, not control. It means protection, not possession." Her nostrils flared. "Don't lecture me about family. I've spent my entire life holding this one together." I met her gaze. "And in the process, you taught everyone that whoever yells loudest gets their way." For a beat, she was silent. Then she stood. "You are heartless, Gloria. You've always been heartless. Even as a child, you never understood sacrifice." "I understand it perfectly," I said. "I just stopped volunteering Emma's future as tribute." The room went still, the air thick with unsaid things. Dad spoke finally, his voice low. "What your mother's trying to say is that this decision affects all of us. Maybe it should have been discussed." "I did discuss it," I said. "With myself, with a financial advisor, with Ethan, since he's Emma's father. That's all the input required. I don't need a committee to protect my child." Mom's voice went cold. "You should have trusted us." "Trusted you?" I repeated. "After you publicly announced you were raiding my daughter's account? That's not evidence of trust. That's proof I made the right call." Her eyes glittered. "You've become impossible to reason with." "No," I said. "I've just stopped mistaking guilt for guidance." She sank back into her chair, shaking her head. "I don't recognize you anymore." "Good," I said softly. "That means I've changed." For a long moment she said nothing. Then, "Lisa called me last night," she said. "She's humiliated. All her friends heard about what you did." "I'm sorry she's embarrassed," I said, "but her feelings don't rewrite the facts." "You've broken this family," Mom whispered. "For what?" "Money." "For boundaries," I said, "and for Emma." That cracked her mask for the first time. Even if it cost you your mother? She asked. There it was, the ultimatum, the final card she always played. I looked her in the eye. If the price of protecting my daughter is losing your approval, then I'll pay it, every time. Her face trembled just slightly before she turned away. You're selfish. Maybe, I said, standing, but at least my selfishness has a purpose. I reached for my purse. My father stood with me, quietly, his hand brushing my arm. You did the right thing, he murmured. Don't let her make you doubt that. I won't, I said, but my voice caught anyway. As I stepped toward the door, Mom spoke again, quieter this time. You'll regret this, Gloria. One day, you'll need help, and no one will come. I paused, hand on the doorknob. Then I'll know what independence really costs, I said, and I'll still think it's worth it. Outside, the sunlight felt blinding after the heaviness of that room. I took one breath, then another, until my heartbeat slowed. Jason was waiting in his car at the corner, engine idling. When I opened the door, he didn't ask how it went. He just handed me a cup of coffee and said, You did it, didn't you? I did. And? She called me heartless. He smiled faintly. Classic projection. I laughed once, small, cracked, but real. The ride home was silent, except for the hum of the road. When we reached my driveway, Jason leaned over and said, She'll come back for round 2. She already did, I said. This was round 3. He hesitated. And the next one? The next one, I said, will be where I draw the line. That night, I found a new text waiting from Mom. We're not done. You owe me a real conversation. You owe your family an apology. I stared at it for a long time, then deleted it without replying. Because some messages aren't meant to be answered. Some are meant to remind you what silence is worth. It took less than a week for the silence to rot into something louder. Thursday afternoon, I was parked outside Willow Creek Elementary, waiting for Emma's dismissal bell when I saw it. My mother's silver Lexus sliding into the lot like a shark, spotting blood in the water. My stomach dropped. She got out wearing her church smile, the one that meant she was about to perform righteousness. I rolled down my window halfway. Mom, what are you doing here? We need to talk, she said crisply. You've been avoiding my calls. Because there's nothing left to say. There's everything left to say, she insisted, stepping closer. You can't just walk out on your family after what you did. Mom, not here, not at Emma's school. She ignored me. You embarrassed me, Gloria. You made me look like a fool. Lisa's friends are talking about it. Everyone in the family is whispering. Then maybe they should whisper about boundaries instead, I cut in, my tone low. Her jaw tightened. You think you're so clever. You think you're right about everything, but you're just bitter, ungrateful. Mom, I said, voice flattening, into that dangerous calm I use when Emma's testing limits. If you want to yell at me, fine, but not here. She opened her mouth to respond, then paused. Her eyes shifted past me, softening like a curtain change. Oh, there's my granddaughter. I turned. Emma was skipping out of the building, backpack bouncing, her face bright, until she saw my mother. She stopped mid-step, shoulders shrinking. Hi, Grandma, she said carefully. Hi, sweetheart, Mom cooed, that saccharine voice dripping with sugar. I was just talking to your mother about something important. Emma glanced between us. What kind of important? The kind where adults need to understand each other, Mom said sweetly. Your mom hurt Grandma's feelings a little, but we're working on it, aren't we, Gloria? Mom, I warned, but she pressed on, undeterred. Sometimes grown-ups make choices that aren't very kind, she said, crouching so she was eye level with Emma. And when that happens, we have to forgive them, right? Emma frowned. Did Mom do something bad? She thinks she was helping you, Mom said, smiling tightly, but she hurt Grandma instead. My vision tunneled. I stepped between them, my voice sharp. That's enough. Mom straightened, feigning innocence. I was just trying to make peace. You don't make peace by making my daughter your therapist. Don't be ridiculous, she scoffed. I was teaching her compassion. By blaming me in front of her school? Emma tugged my sleeve. Mom, can we go home? I opened the car door. Get in, sweetheart. As she climbed in, I looked back at my mother. If you ever corner Emma again about this, we're going to have a serious problem. She folded her arms. Are you threatening me? I'm setting a boundary, I said. You don't get to involve my daughter in your guilt campaign. Her eyes narrowed. You'll regret cutting me out. I'll regret it a lot less than letting you poison her. I got in the car and drove away. Through the rearview mirror, I saw her standing there, phone already in hand, probably dialing the next relative to add to her crusade. That night, Jason found me pacing the kitchen. She showed up at Emma's school, I said. He froze. Wait, what? She talked to her, told her I hurt her feelings, tried to spin this whole thing into a morality lesson. Jason swore under his breath. That's not just crossing a line, that's erasing it. Exactly. I dropped into a chair, rubbing my temples. I'm done trying to reason with her privately. It's time to put this on the record. He nodded slowly. Meaning, I'm calling a family meeting. Everyone. Mom, Dad, Lisa, my brother, and I'm going to lay it out. Every boundary, every consequence. Jason leaned against the counter. You sure you want to do that? You know she'll turn it into a circus. Let her, I said. I'm not doing this for her approval. I'm doing it so there's witnesses when I say enough. 2 nights later, the Zoom call began. Faces popped up one by one. My father looking weary. My brother Mark pretending to scroll on his phone. Lisa, pale but attentive. And finally, my mother. Chin high, martyr glow, fully engaged. This is ridiculous, she started. We don't need another confrontation. Then you can hang up, I said calmly, but I'm speaking either way. She stayed. Of course she did. I'm calling this meeting, I began, to set some clear boundaries, because what happened at Emma's school was not acceptable. Mom blinked innocently. Oh, please, you're exaggerating. You told my 9-year-old that her mother hurt you, I interrupted. You tried to use her to fix what you broke. I was trying to teach her something. You were using her, I said, and that stops today. She leaned closer to the camera. You can't threaten me with my granddaughter. I'm not threatening you, I said evenly. I'm explaining the consequence. If you involve Emma again, if you bring this topic up to her or use her as leverage, you won't see either of us for a while. You can't. I can, and I will. Lisa spoke for the first time, surprising everyone. Mom, she's right. My mother's head snapped toward the screen. Excuse me? You need to let this go, Lisa said softly. You made a bad call. She protected her daughter. That's what a mother's supposed to do. I'm not taking advice from someone who can't manage a credit card, Mom snapped. Then don't, Lisa said. Just listen. For once, my mother had no immediate reply. Dad nodded slowly. I agree with Gloria, he said, and his voice carried quiet authority. It's time to move forward. Enough damage has been done. Mark added, Yeah, Mom, this has gone way too far. My mother looked around, realizing she was outnumbered. Her face hardened. Fine, she said at last. I'll stop bringing it up. But I don't accept that I was wrong. You don't have to, I said. You just have to stop trying to rewrite it. She glared, then clicked off her camera. Classic dramatic exit. The screen went black in her window. Lisa exhaled. Well, that's a record. Only 20 minutes before she rage quit. Mark chuckled. Personal best. Dad looked at me. You handled that well, kiddo. I'm tired of handling, I said. I just want peace. Jason, listening nearby, met my eyes and mouthed, You got it. That night I tucked Emma in. Mom, she asked sleepily, is Grandma mad at me? No, baby, she's just figuring things out. About money? About respect, I said softly. She thought about that. Did you tell her no again? I did. A small smile. Good. She turned over, hugging her stuffed panda. Sometimes no is love, right? Exactly, I whispered. When I closed her door, the quiet didn't feel empty anymore. It felt earned. For the first time in weeks, I knew exactly where the line was, and I was done letting anyone cross it. 3 weeks passed before my mother's number appeared on my screen again. I didn't answer. Then came a text. Lunch, just you and Emma, Saturday. Jason looked over my shoulder. That's progress? Maybe, I said, or maybe it's a new tactic. He squeezed my hand. You trust Emma to handle it? I trust her more than most adults, I said quietly. Saturday came with sunlight and that eerie calm that usually precedes either reconciliation or disaster. Emma wore her favorite yellow dress. Are you coming, Mom? No, I said gently. Grandma wants to see you one-on-one, but you can call me anytime, okay? Okay, she said, though her tone was cautious, like someone agreeing to explore a haunted house because the person who dared her promised it'd be fine. I dropped her off at the cafe near my parents' house. My mother was already there, sitting at a corner table, posture perfect, smile fixed. Hi, sweetheart, she said to Emma. You look beautiful. When Emma waved goodbye to me through the window, I smiled back but didn't drive far. I parked down the street and waited. 90 minutes later, Emma emerged, holding a small paper bag and wearing the half smile of a child who's just witnessed an adult try to apologize and trip over their own pride. How was it? I asked. Weird, she said, buckling in. Weird how? Grandma said sorry. She said she shouldn't have tried to take my college money. I blinked. She actually said that? Yeah. Then she said she was scared Aunt Lisa would lose everything, and she wasn't thinking clearly. I exhaled slowly. That sounds like progress. Emma nodded. She also gave me a new book, and she said she loves me, even when you and her don't agree about stuff. I smiled faintly. That's nice. Emma tilted her head. Then she said something funny. She said you were right, that you're a good mom because you protected me. She said she didn't like admitting it, but she was proud of you. I went quiet. That kind of apology, secondhand, filtered through a child, was exactly her style. She couldn't say it directly, but she said it where it mattered most. How do you feel about that? I asked. Emma shrugged. I feel like we can eat lunch somewhere better next time. I laughed. Real, unguarded laughter. The first in weeks. That night, my phone rang again. This time, I answered. Gloria? Hi, Mom. I wanted to call you directly, she said. No speeches, no fights. I'm listening. Her voice was quieter than I'd ever heard it. I was wrong. I waited. Not about wanting to help Lisa, she continued, but about how I tried to do it, about taking from Emma, about involving her in something she didn't understand. I was wrong about all of that. I closed my eyes, letting her words land, brittle but real. Thank you, I said softly. I've been thinking, she went on. You got this stubborn streak from me, but you also got my strength. And I realize now, you were being the kind of mother I never knew how to be. Protective, certain, boundaried. I didn't speak. She wasn't finished. I'm sorry, she said again, voice trembling just a little. Not because I want to fix everything overnight, but because I finally understand what you were doing. You were protecting Emma, and maybe protecting the little girl you once were from me. That one hit hard. I swallowed. I accept your apology, Mom. There was a small, relieved sigh on the other end. Thank you. Then, softly, I'd like to do better. I want to try. I'd like that too. When we hung up, I didn't cry. I just sat in the quiet, realizing peace doesn't always arrive with trumpets. Sometimes it tiptoes in with a single, honest sentence. The following week, Lisa called. Hey, big sister, she said cautiously. Hey, I wanted to tell you. I've been going to therapy. My counselor helped me see that Mom used my debt to feel important, and I let her. That's on me. I was silent for a moment, processing the mix of regret and strength in her voice. That's a big realization. I had to declare bankruptcy, Lisa admitted. It was humiliating, but freeing too. I needed to stop pretending I could fix everything with someone else's help. I'm proud of you, I said quietly. She chuckled softly. Emma told me you said boundaries are just instructions for love. She listens to everything, I said. She gets it from you. For a long pause, we both stayed silent, connected by something we hadn't shared in years. Honesty without guilt. Before hanging up, Lisa added, By the way, Mom's been going to that senior center book club again. She told them you're the strong one now. I smiled. That's her way of saying sorry twice. Later that week, Jason came over with takeout and that knowing look he wore when he wanted to ask something serious but polite. So, he said, setting down the food, how's the storm? Settling, I said. It's not sunny yet, but it's calm. Your mom really apologized? She did, kind of like watching a glacier melt. Slow, but happening. He grinned. And Lisa? She's rebuilding. Different kind of miracle. He nodded. So, what's next for you? I thought about it. The parties, the fights, the meetings, the messages, all the emotional noise. Then I said, next, I'm going to stop reacting and start living. Jason raised his glass. To that. That night, after Emma fell asleep, I stood by her door for a long time. Her lamp was still on, illuminating her drawings. One of me, one of her, and one of all three generations. Me, her, and my mother. They were all holding hands. For the first time, I didn't flinch at the sight. It didn't feel like erasure anymore. It felt like progress. Because healing, I realized, doesn't erase scars. It just teaches you which ones to stop hiding. Emma turned 10 in early spring, the kind of day where sunlight feels like forgiveness. We threw her party at home again. Same backyard, same pink streamers fluttering in the wind. Only this time, the air was different. It felt light, still, unloaded. The guest list was smaller, just a few close friends, Jason, Ethan, my parents, and even Lisa, now 14 months sober and steady as stone. When my mom called the week before, her voice had none of its old performance polish. I'd like to help with the party, she said, if that's okay with you. That's okay, I'd answered carefully. What did you have in mind? Whatever you think is appropriate, I don't want to overstep. Those 5 words, I don't want to overstep, were worth more to me than the gift she eventually brought. It was growth disguised as humility, and it stunned me. The morning of the party, Mom showed up early, carrying a homemade cake. Not the centerpiece, just an extra dessert. Back up in case the kids destroy the main one, she said, smiling a little. Jason was setting up the canopy. Ethan was inflating balloons with a pump that hissed like a tired snake. Lisa was inside helping Emma with her dress, chatting softly. Mom approached me slowly. Need help with anything? I looked at her, waiting for the familiar flicker of control, the quick correction, the unsolicited advice. But it never came. Sure, I said. You can help me with the chairs. She nodded, quietly grateful. We worked in silence, and for once it wasn't the heavy kind. When the guests arrived, Mom mingled gently, laughing with the kids, helping them with juice boxes instead of running the show. She wasn't performing. She was present. At one point, I caught her crouching beside Emma, watching her open gifts. This one's from Aunt Lisa, she said softly. But I get to help with the ribbon. Emma giggled, handing her the bow to pull. It was such a small thing. A ribbon, a moment, but it looked like peace. Later, Lisa found me by the kitchen counter. She's different, she whispered. She's trying, I said. Lisa nodded. So are you. We both smiled, small but honest. I brought Emma something else, Lisa said, handing me an envelope. Inside was a $50 savings bond. She's learning from the best, I said. No, Lisa corrected gently. She's learning because you taught her what no can protect. When the candles were lit, Emma stood on a chair and said, Before I make my wish, I just want to thank everyone for being nice this year. The adults laughed. Mom's eyes shimmered. Jason leaned over and whispered, She sounds like you. She's smarter, I said. Emma took a deep breath and blew out her candles. I didn't know what she wished for, but I had a feeling she already had most of it. After the party, when everyone was gone and the house smelled like frosting and laughter, Mom lingered. I wanted to say thank you, she said. For what? For letting me come, for trusting me again. I nodded. You earned that trust back, piece by piece. She hesitated, then handed me a small folded piece of paper. I wanted you to see this. It was a printed photo, one from the school's Father-Daughter Day, apparently sent to her by another parent. In it, I was kneeling beside Emma, fixing her hair, both of us laughing. Mom had written underneath in neat cursive, This is what I see now. This is what I was trying to protect when I overstepped. Yash, not money, but the way you love her. I'm sorry it took me so long to understand that you were already doing it. I swallowed hard. Thank you, I said, my voice unsteady. She smiled faintly. Sometimes I think you got all the strength I was supposed to have. Maybe I just learned it watching you, I said, and for once it wasn't sarcasm, it was truth. We hugged, carefully, like people who'd both been burned, but were learning how to stand close to the fire again without flinching. Months passed quietly after that. The calls between us were shorter but warm. The boundaries held. Lisa started a small side business, financial counseling for women in debt, and sent me a picture of her first workshop sign that read, Boundaries are love with instructions. I framed it on my desk. One night, Jason and I were sitting on the porch after Emma went to bed. He reached for my hand. Do you ever think about that first party? He asked. All the time, I said. It used to make me angry. Now it just reminds me why I did it. He nodded. And the college fund? Still there, still growing, still untouchable. I smiled faintly. So is she. He leaned over, kissed my temple. You built something strong, Gloria, not just for Emma, for yourself. I looked out at the night sky, the wind carrying laughter from a house down the street. Maybe strength isn't about fighting anymore. Maybe it's about not needing to. A few weeks later, Mom sent me a text. No drama, no speeches, just a picture of her and Emma at the library, reading, side by side. The caption said, She picked a book about brave girls. I think I finally understand why. I sent back a heart emoji. Sometimes, that's all a whole history needs. Not words, just peace. Epilogue, the quiet after. The college fund sits untouched, earning quiet interest, like a symbol of everything that survived. Emma knows it exists, knows her future is protected. She also knows something bigger, that saying no can sometimes be the most loving word a person ever learns. My mother and I will never be perfect, but we are better, and better, I've learned, is its own kind of miracle. Because in the end, peace doesn't arrive all at once. It arrives in moments. A boundary respected, a phone that stays silent, a hug that doesn't hurt. Those are the tiny victories that rebuild a family. And maybe that's enough.